Thank you, Mark. And thank you, Jackie, who is with us on Zoom this morning. And welcome everyone to this wonderful time that we set apart each week to come together to celebrate the truth about ourselves, the truth about each other, and the truth of our purpose while we are showing up in this form at this time. This morning, before I read the scripture that has inspired the talk today, I would just like to share with you that while I was away last Sunday and only attended on Zoom, my dad showed up on Father's Day at the cemetery in the most unmistakable way. And so I share with you that vision of his presence as a way for us to lighten up and just feel the gift of humor in our entire being. And so my brothers and I had agreed to meet at the plot where Dad's ashes are buried. And Mom and Dad could not agree even near the end of their lives on anything. And so Dad was cremated and in an urn, and Mom would like the whole coffin in the ground. So we're looking for this plot. My brother, my youngest brother, has the number of the plot, the row that it's in, and he finds it. And that's when the hysterical joking that would have been my dad started. So my niece said, "Oh no, that's not the plot." She said, "I don't remember that tree." The tree, which of course was not in bloom when we were there in April. And then his son said, "That can't be the plot because the field is too close here." So I could just hear my dad, who always made a point of saying, "Don't go and visit me in the cemetery. I won't be there." And there we were, just wandering around. Not to be outdone was my brother's girlfriend, bless her heart, who I notice is a couple of rows over in the cemetery. And I see her asking a stranger for some water from his bottle. So, of course, for me, I just went, well, there's the symbol of life. There's life everywhere, including right here. But she used it to sprinkle the stone in the ground where she thought the plot was. And so she said, "Hey guys, here's number 368. So they all ran toward her, and I just blessed her as the Pied Piper, and I got in my car and said bye-bye. So it was a lovely way to celebrate the memory of my dad's quirksome sense of humor and just bring some more closure to the grief that certainly we are all going to continue to allow as we fill the space that only he holds in our hearts. The message this morning has to do with our responsibility as spiritual beings. Responsibility for all of our experiences that are the direct results of our thinking and our feeling nature. We get to choose. The first reading is taken from the Psalm, which for me is always the time to prepare for entering the silence. And I will read the key verse from Psalm 51, verse 10, which says, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me." What are we asking for in that affirmation? We're asking for cleansing of the heart, where reside all of the memories that can keep us stuck. So create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Some translations give that as renew a right spirit. For me, that sets up opposite. So for me, steadfast spirit is continuous, unbroken, unceasing. And what is that steadfastness? It's our faith. Our faith that keeps us trusting and believing. The other scripture is taken from 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 to 5. And this, for me, represents my ability to consciously install a filter in the eyes of my body that allow for the vision of the Christ to inform everything that I see in what is a very seductive material realm. And so the scripture reads, "For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh." George Lamza, who translates from the Aramaic, from Jesus' language, has rendered this verse this way. He says, "For though we walk on the earth, we do not live an earthly life. We do not serve worldly things." And the scripture continues, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal or earthly, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations, and everything that exalts itself against the knowing of God. And we bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of the Christ." And so oftentimes I will remove just that line from 2 Corinthians 10 and say to myself, this day, this moment, I take every thought, word, and deed captive for the Christ within. So you can see how, for me, that becomes the deliberate installing of a lens through which I now see the world from a spiritual perspective rather than from a mortal material, or as one of the translation reads, from a fleshly perception. And so we know that consciousness is God. We know that consciousness is where it's at. And so I ask myself each day how ready I am, how ready I feel for accepting the great personal responsibility of tilling the soil of my consciousness so that it is ready to receive only seeds of truth. And really, when I talk in my title about my environment is my looking glass, what I really mean by that is that I can tell what most of my thoughts are on a daily basis by noticing what I attract into my everyday experience. And if the people, circumstances, events, or conditions that I find myself attracting are not reflecting the joy and the love of the Christ, then I get to take a look at my looking glass. And you know, those little things when you go to the eye doctor, how they switch them, better here or there, one or two. And so we always choose the oneness. And what I'd like to do this morning is to invite more grace, the activity of grace, into our experience as we sit here together on Zoom and in this beautiful sanctuary, through the experience of a unity minister by the name of Deidre Price, is her new name that she took after this powerful experience that she had in the meditation. I always remember the new name. I believe her original name was Reverend Debbie Tyson. And sitting in meditation one morning, she was focusing on oneness, on I am not and cannot be separate from God. God and I are one. Help me, Father, to know that oneness and to express only that oneness to everyone that I see. And shining in the light of her mind was a crystal pillar. She just described it as a very sleek pillar that was light laden and just shining very brightly, and she realized that it was the number 1. And so she sat with it and received the grace prayer in that moment. It came through her, and it is one of my favorite prayers. And so what I've done for our time together this morning is that I've looked at the prayer as it applies to what I'm doing when I take responsibility for my environment, for my thoughts, for what I am expressing. So to begin, I will speak the words of the grace prayer, and then if you will, just follow me through an in-depth appreciation and understanding of how the power of each affirmative statement in this prayer really enhances my ability to take responsibility for my life, for my joy, for my freedom, for my wisdom, for my wholeness. And it begins, I thirst for thee, O Lord. Into thy hands I commit my spirit, my soul, my body, my life. This situation, whatever it is, all unforgiven states, thy will is my will. Thy will is done in me and through me, for you heal me at depth. You heal that which needs to be healed. You reveal that which needs to be revealed, so that I may glorify you, O God, and live in the fullness of your grace. It is finished. That line perhaps being an indicator of my acceptance of the potential for this prayer, for this series of inspired statements to change my life, inform my vision, and clean my looking glass so that my environment reflects what I wish to see at all times. The first sentence, I thirst for thee, O Lord, establishes my intention that when I sit, or even when I'm running through my day, or gently walking, strolling, I thirst for the presence. I thirst for a heightened awareness of my oneness with Christ in me. I thirst for thee, O Lord. And so we can check in with ourselves right now. Is that true? Is that a primary goal in my daily life, to feel the presence, to thirst for the presence of God? It's an intention that I can establish at any moment, regardless of what might be happening. What a beautiful insertion in my day when it's needed to just call to mind, I thirst for thee, O Lord. The second sentence deals with surrender of my whole being, particularly when we think about the personality and its urges. The statement very simply says, into thy hands I commit my spirit, my soul, my body, my life. That covers pretty much all of it, doesn't it? I commit that unto thee, unto the presence within me. Now, once we have established that our goal is to have an awareness, a greater appreciation of the presence, and then we surrender to it by saying, I commit my spirit, my soul, my body, my life into thy hands. And then we acknowledge our humanity at the same time and recognize that into thy hands I am also committing this situation. And so whatever the situation is, old, new, present, some fear of the future, whatever it might be, it's a situation that we bring into this moment of utter surrender and turn it over. And so when I'm practicing that in the silence with this grace prayer, the situation will simply pop up, kind of like a jack-in-the-box. And maybe you've met children who are afraid of clowns, and I always think how ironic that is, that they're supposed to be funny. And so this situation can be a pop-up in my consciousness. It's there, but it doesn't stay. It goes back down. And if it comes back up, then I commit it unto the Lord. And so we have acknowledging our humanity by recognizing, hey, there is stuff that goes on over here situationally, and a lot of it might be garbage from the past that I'm still trying to clear, cleanse, release. And so we bring to it the ultimate key for cleansing, which is an absolute ability to forgive. And so we go from, I commit into thy hands, Lord, my spirit, my soul, my body, my life, this situation and all unforgiven states. What I find with that statement is that I am not as tempted to go into the particulars of what I still need to forgive, because I'm putting whatever it is that may still be unforgiven all into the one statement and turning them over. Here's all unforgiven states, Lord. I commit them into thy hands. And so for me, this becomes a type of benediction. The true meaning or origin of the word blessing is best captured in the word benediction, because it contains the two Latin words from which the word benediction springs, which is to speak well of. And so when I commit unto the Lord, into thy hands I commit all unforgiven states, it's a benediction. Because no matter what we think, anything that we still in our humanness need to forgive was really a teacher. It was really an opportunity. It was really a gift. And in committing it into thy hands, O Lord, all of it, all of the unforgiven states, I am stating a type of blessing or benediction. I speak well of all this unforgiven stuff by turning it over into thy hands, O Lord. And so the ultimate understanding about forgiveness, of course, is that to err is human, as the poet said. To forgive is divine. So I of myself in my humanness cannot forgive alone. I need to invoke the presence and the power of the divine to complete that act of forgiveness. And so the next part of the prayer reads, thy will is my will. You notice we don't need to prescribe it or outline what God's will is. We simply invite it and accept it. Thy will is my will. And thy will, this is an affirmation of a desire and of a fact of truth. Right now, thy will is done in me and through me. So what happens when I open to allow the will of God to be done in and through me? What needs to be healed, which Spirit knows better than I do, what needs to be healed is healed. Simple as that. Thy will is my will. The request is, heal me at depth as only Spirit can. Heal me at depth. Heal that which needs to be healed. Once again, through the infinite wisdom of the divine, anything residual in my subconscious mind, particularly, that still needs clearing or healing, is healed. So when I surrender my will to thine, I am healed at depth. And I don't even have to do it because Spirit in me knows what needs to be healed. And it is done unto me according to my faith and completely. The next part of this grace prayer is very interesting. And for me, it's a kind of a marching order because it says that once I have acknowledged that your will is my will, then you reveal to me what needs to be revealed. What does that require? In order for that to occur in my conscious mind, the revelation of what may still need to be revealed to me, this is an ultimate prayer of surrender. It is a prayer of inviting grace. So that when we say, so that I may be healed, you reveal which needs to be healed. And so that you also tell me what needs to fill my awareness by revealing that which needs to be revealed. I have found that part of the prayer to be very powerful, very instructive, and very protective. Sometimes it will guide me, reveal that which needs to be revealed, and I will hear, this is not yours. Reveal that which needs to be revealed, and I'll hear, oh, it's time to put some feet to this, not just thinking, feeling it, but move into action. So for me, that's a powerful part of this grace prayer. Reveal that which needs to be revealed. And what will happen as a result of that revelation, so that I may glorify you. That's what we're here to do. Every one of us is here to glorify the Son of God, which was implanted in each one of us. Reveal that which needs to be revealed, so that I may glorify you, O God, because when I live in a continuous awareness of my desire to glorify you, O God, then it happens that I live in the fullness of your grace. What an aspiration, what a desire on this last Sunday of the month of imagination. In unity centers all over the world, there is a focus during the month of June on the imaging power of mind. And so I'd like to close the message this morning by just asking you to prepare for meditation with me by taking the words of this grace prayer in at depth, understanding that it moves from establishing our intention of thirsting for God, that it requires us to commit our lives completely into the hands of God, that the middle of the prayer acknowledges our humanity. It acknowledges that we often struggle and that we are challenged by unforgiveness. We release that need for forgiveness completely into the power of the divine within. And then we embrace and accept our spiritual responsibility to walk around glorifying God and living in the fullness of grace, knowing that when we have done this type of internal work, indeed, it is finished. And we accept that completion. So as you prepare for this grace prayer as a form of contemplation, introspection, reflection, cleansing, healing, and revealing, I just invite you to notice your body temple as it sits erect, as you do a scan of your chakras, your radiating centers of life and light, from the crown chakra down through all of them. We give thanks for the power of this grace prayer. I thirst for thee, O Lord. Into thy hands I commit my spirit, my soul, my body, my life. This situation, all unforgiven states. Thy will is my will. Thy will is done in me and through me, for you heal me at depth. You heal that which needs to be healed. You reveal that which needs to be revealed, so that I may glorify you, O God, and live in the fullness of your grace. It is finished. As you bring your attention back to this time and place, we center our hearts in a moment of miracle mindfulness, in a moment of gratitude for the opportunity to come together this way with like-minded souls, to glorify God, to heal, to have things revealed, to take responsibility for the lens through which I am seeing my life and all of my experiences. Charles Fillmore writes, God never performs miracles if by a miracle is meant a departure from universal law. Whatever miracle workers do is done by the operation of laws inherent in being and open to discovery.